welcome to this video. In this lesson, we will learn how to position numbers on a number line. Today, you will learn how to position numbers on a number line. Remember, have a pen and paper with you. The green text is for the answers and the blue text is for your question understanding. When this sign comes up, remember to pause the video and work out the answers. The sign is this have a think and then this pause symbol. Now, with them being said, let's get into the video lesson. So these are your starter questions. Question 1, how do you write 4 ones, 2 tenths and 3 hundredths in a figure? In figures. Question 2, I give 25% of my cake away. How much cake do I have left? And question 3, I make a cake with 326 grams of flour. I have 200 grams of flour left in my box. How many grams of flour did I start with? Pause the video to have a think and then resume the video after you are finished. Okay, so let's get through with these task understanding parts and the answers for the questions. So question 1. Hopefully you noticed that it was 4 ones and then it had 2 tenths and 3 hundredths. If you put this into a place value chart, it will look like this. There is one thing when working with decimals. It is that in between the ones and the tenths column, you want to put a decimal point. So this is what the answer would be. The answer would be 4.23. Question 2. Hopefully you noticed that 25% is actually a quarter. And then have left means the total amount after being given out or have to be distributed. So if you think about it, a quarter is 1 over 4. 4 over 4 is a whole. So if you do 1 whole minus a quarter, which is 75% or 3 quarters, that is your answer. And then finally, question 3. Hopefully you noticed that it was 326 grams and 200 grams and left. So 200 grams were left. But the question wants to know how much did we start with? So to work this out, you'd want to put 326 and 200 in a column addition, or if you can know it off the top of your head, go ahead and do that. So you can see the answer is 526, and the question wants us to say it in grams. So 526 grams. Now let's start on some work. This is an example question. If you're struggling, please come back to this part of the video and I will have timestamps in the description for anyone who needs help. So, the question wants us to label this number line. And there is 4 intervals, we know that. And to label, you have to find out the difference between the first and last number divided by the number of intervals. So, the difference between 0 and 2 is 2. So 2 divided by 4 equals 0.5. Good. So, that means, if that is correct, that means that 0.5 will be the first interval. The second interval will be 1. The third interval will be 1.5. So that completes our number line. Now, let's get on with some actual questions for you guys to have a go at. this is our first question. It says, what number on the number line is this arrow pointed to? Pause the video to have a think and then resume when you are finished and you've got some answers. Alright, let's go through this question. So hopefully you should have remembered from the example question that it's the difference between the start and last numbers divided by how many intervals. Hopefully you noticed that the difference was 1 and then how many intervals was 10. So 1 divided by 10 equals 0.1. So the first interval would be 0.1, the second 0.2, the third 0.3, the fourth 0.4, fifth 0.5, sixth 0.6, seventh 0.7, 0.8, for the eighth one, which is the answer, but we need to finish the number line as well, and the ninth one would be 0.9. So hopefully you got the answer of 0.8. So let's move on to the next question. Question 2. Mia thinks that the middle number on this number line is 5, but Joe thinks the middle number is 0.5. Who is correct? And explain why. Pause the video to have a think and then resume when you are finished. Hopefully you spotted that that it wants the middle number, and it wants to know who is correct, and it wants you to explain why. And you can see on the number line, there's 10 intervals, and it starts as it ends in 10, and it starts at 0. So 10 divided by 10 is 1, so it goes up in ones. So let's count up 1 for 5 intervals. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait. So it's 5. And that links up to Mia's answer. So let's say I believe that Mia is correct because the number line ends with 10, but Joe has made the mistake that he has thought 10 was 1, so he put 0.5. This is why you need to be careful in maths as well. This answer is just in the middle, so it's just right. Like, you don't want to go too complex or too simple. You just want it in the middle, which is what this answer is. Now, let's move on to the final question of this lesson. Let's get on with the third and final question. Iris places 0.35 on the number line, where the arrow is pointing. Is she correct? Explain why. Pause the video to have a think and complete this question, and then resume when you are finished. Alright, let's get on with completing this question. So, hopefully you spotted out that it's 0.35, and it wants to know if she's correct, and it wants us to explain why she is correct or isn't correct. So let's do our little calculation. 0.7 divided by 7, because there are 7 intervals and the difference between 0 and 0.7 is 0.7, equals 0.1. So this means 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then 0.35, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. Now we have to explain why she is correct. So I believe that Iris is correct because as 0.35 is in the middle of 0.3 and 0.4, and also 0.35 is also half of 0.7. This will bring the answer to 0.35. So that's the answer, and Now it's the end of the lesson. If you want, you can get your family members to create your own questions for you, and you can practice that way. If not, you can make your own questions and that. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is my first ever lesson. And I hope you enjoyed it. So I will see you guys in the next lesson. Goodbye.